Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to my Flutter tutorials, and in this video we are going to talk about the most awaited stuff from my channel, which is animations. I know that you wanted it from a long time, but I am hardly getting some time to make stuff, but now we are back. So we'll talk about animations, and this is not going to be just a single video. I believe it should be rather a series of animations video. Okay, I mean the videos which consist of animation stuff, and I cannot guarantee how many videos will be there, but there will be sufficient videos. And to start with, we should understand the basics of animation. So that's why, as you can see on the screen, we have nothing on the screen. It's just a simple material app which displays nothing, and then we have a home page which is again have nothing, right? So to understand animations, first of all you have to just throw that fear away that animation is like a lot of stuff happening and it's very difficult to understand, it's very difficult to do in any framework or something. Flutter has a very good support for animation, obviously, and to understand animation you don't have to go very deep, but just what is animation. So it's I don't want to give you something complex, but if someone asks you what is animation, I believe that you can just say that when there is a rapidly change in values, then it's an animation. Okay, so if there is a rapid change in value, then I consider it as an animation. Okay, now there can be in Flutter especially or basically overall, animation actually falls in two categories. Okay, so let me just try to explain it with the code only, but as a comment. So first one is the tween animation. Okay, what is tween? It's basically a kind of animation which has a beginning point as well as an ending point. Okay, so there will be some beginning point. So suppose this line is, as you can see where I have put the breakpoint, this is a red line, it has a beginning point and an end point. So it's kind of a tween animation, okay, where we have 2 points and the in between stuff is kind of a timeline. Okay, there can be a curve or something like that which will define the timing and basically speed of transition. So you can say that. Okay, and how this transition will be calculated from the beginning and end point, that you have to leave to the framework, it will calculate all those things. So this is a tween animation basically, which have just, you have to think like it has a beginning point and an end point, and there will be some kind of transition. Okay, then we have something called a physics based animation. Okay, physics based, it is kind of a typical animation where it basically it is a kind of animation which resemble with the real world behavior. Okay, so let's say you are dropping a ball. Okay, and when it falls, then it bounces and do some stuff, right? So when you can relate an animation with the real world behavior, that's kind of physics based. We are not going into very deep, we'll try to understand first the basic stuff, and then we'll talk about what else we have to understand, right? I mean, this is very easy, right? So I'm not going to waste your time because the video is going to be kind of lengthy already. So I'm not going to waste your time in these things. Okay, so in this class, this homepage state class, I'll start with this animation class. Okay, so we have this animation class, then I'll specify the type, and then we have an animation object. Okay, so let's go to this animation class because this is where animation stuff starts. Okay, so let's go here, and as you can see, this animation class, I mean it's a core animation class, okay, in the animation library of Flutter. Okay, so this animation class actually interpolates the values, okay, to guide an animation. Okay, that's it. I mean, it will do some stuff with the values, okay, so that an animation can be performed, right? That's simple, I guess so. Okay, now we have this animation object, as you can see, the purple color object, which is like, which has this state of that particular animation as well as the value of that animation. Okay, the state can be whether it is started or it is stopped or it is moving forward or backward or whatever. So it will have the state as well as the value of the animation. Let's say the value, the beginning point was 0 and the end point is 1, so it will have a value ranges from 0 to 1. Okay, and then it does not have one thing, which is that it does not know that what's happening on the screen, or it does not know what appears on the screen. Okay, it does not have to care about that. Okay, so the purpose of this animation object, if we are asking in that term, that it does not know anything about what is on the screen, and it is kind of an abstract class that only understands its current value as well as its state. Okay, whether it is completed or dismissed, okay, whatever. So and the most commonly used type of this animation is double. Okay, so basically when you'll see the basic examples, then you'll find it like double, but you can use anything else here. Let's say color. Okay, so the values will be range in this color zone, which can be like, if you'll see this, there is like a 32-bit color value in ARGB format. So in that format you can specify the colors, or you can specify it like a size. Okay, so whatever you want to specify, which should have a certain value, right? So the basic type is double. Okay, so this is about animation object. Okay, and what it does is actually it generates some numbers sequentially between those values, two values, which is first will be the beginning value and second will be the end value. Okay, and there will be some kind of duration. In certain duration, like let's say in 5 seconds, it will generate some value from 0 to 1. So it will be like 0 0.1, 0 0.2, 0 0.3, 0 0.4, up to so on to 1.0. Okay, so you can specify the duration as well. Okay, and the output of that particular this animation object can be linear, can be curve, can be a step function, or can be like any other mapping. Okay, so it totally depends how you control the animation. Okay, so now when it comes to the controlling part of this animation, the how you will control this animation, then we have animation controller. Okay, now it feels cool, right? If we go inside this animation controller, then you will see that this also extends this animation. Okay, so what's the difference? So so basically let's say, okay, one thing I forgot is that this animation object has, I think I have already told you that it has certain value which you can get using animation dot value if you will use it later. Let's say like this. We won't get it right now. Okay, it has a value and a state, right? Now coming to this animation controller again, what is the animation controller? It's another object that again generates a value. Okay, when it generates the value, when when our hardware, let's say this is our iOS simulator, when it is available to have a new frame. Okay, so I guess you must have heard that Flutter supports 60 frames per second. So that means that every second there are 60 frames generated, or there are 60 new frames in every second, and with every frame there will be change in the value of the animation which will be changed, which will be generated using this animation controller. Okay, I don't know whether you can understand it properly or not, but the purpose of animation controller is that it generates a value every time when there is a new frame. Okay, so if you want to specify how it should generate the number, then it will generate the number from 0.0 to 1.0, and if you specify some other numbers, then it will generate the number accordingly. Okay, oh, so if I just want to see how it actually specify the animations, the duration and all that stuff, then I can just use like this animation controller, and it asks for a vsync. Okay, what is that? Okay, so vsync is kind of an argument which we have to provide here. What's the purpose of it is that it prevents the off-screen animations from consuming unnecessary resources, which means that if you will not specify this, then the off-screen animations can consume some unnecessary resources which can end with memory leaks and all that stuff. Okay, so that's why we need to specify this, and you can just say this, which means that you can use your stateful widget as a parameter to this vsync. Okay, but for making that happen, what you have to do, you have to use a mixin, which can be a single ticker provider state mixin or a ticker provider state mixin, depends on if you have to control many animations, then use ticker provider state mixin, but if you have a single animation, then use single ticket provider state mixin. Okay, it is saying create 9 missing overrides. What happened? What we did wrong? Oh, sorry, we don't have to specify it here, it should be here. Okay, single, that's fine. And now it will take this vsync. Okay, oh, it's not taking it. Why? Okay, I guess it's asking for more stuff, and you can specify the duration as well. Okay, this is how you will specify the duration, I guess. And now why it is not taking the vsync? Oh, what's the problem, man? Okay. Oh, I guess this is not taking the value here because we are trying to initialize it outside. We should do it in maybe in what we said, init state method. So here we can do something like this, animation controller is equal to animation controller. So this is, we don't have to specify new keyword in the latest Dart version. If you are confused about that, now we can say this, how it works perfectly. And now we can also specify some duration, I believe, duration, and you can say, let's say milliseconds, 500 milliseconds. Okay, so what it will do, this controller will generate in 500 milliseconds some values, okay, in every frame, right? Okay, this is kind of confusing, but it also derives from this animation class which we just saw. Okay, so whenever an animation object is needed, we can use it, right? But what is the difference? What is the difference between this animation object and this animation controller? Is that this animation controller will give you some additional methods to control the animation, which will be like a dot forward or dot reverse, all those methods. Okay, so I guess it's kind of clear. Now if you want to use tween or something like that, you can use, let me just guide you through that. So we can use something like tween. Okay, it can be double or whatever you want to specify. Oh, what happened? So tween, it's not accepting this. Okay, we cannot make a direct variable out of it. So let's say if you want to use this animation, okay, it takes 1 second, it takes a double, and you can just say tween. Okay, you can specify the beginning or ending value. So let's say we can say double, specify the type, and then it takes a begin value. So let's say it's 1, let's say just, or maybe we can say 0.0 for the time being because it's a default value, and then end value should be 1.1 dot animate. Okay, we have a lot of things, and then you can provide the parent to it. So the parent would be the another animation, where you can provide the animation controller, in fact, but you haven't specified yet. So it's just remove this from here and put it here. So this is how you specify a tween animation. So it's normal, right? You don't have to worry about it a lot. You can just use some curved animation or something. So I haven't talked about the curved animation yet. So what is the curved animation? So curved animation is nothing but it will show the progress as a curve. So that is the purpose of curve animation. So sorry, a non-linear curve. Okay, just not a curve, it will be a non-linear curve. So basically if you have seen like ease in, ease out, fade in, fade out, all those non-linear curves, so you can use with the curve animation. Okay, how that is the idea, simple idea. Now these animation, how you will notify them. So now you know about this animation controller as well as the animation, okay, how to use them. Now this animation object can have two kind of listeners. If you see, then first one can be a normal listener, where you can just use this like this, and inside that you can use set state to build the UI every time there is a change in frame, and you can get the animation dot value here. Okay, so every time there will be a new frame created, then you will get a new animation value here. Or you can have something like animation dot add status listener, where you can get the status, okay, of the animation, and maybe you can print that status, right? Let's try like this. Okay, and now if I'll just go here, then using this animation controller, you can you have some additional methods which it provides. Like if you will see, it has this forward to start the animation in the in the right order, and then you have something called reverse to reverse the animation. Then you have reset, repeat, and all that things. So let's say forward. Okay, so if I just open the console here, okay, where is my console, and if I'll just restart this app, okay, it is not doing anything because we have to specify here the home page. Okay, and now let's restart this application. Then you can see I have animation dot forward and animation dot completed after this particular beginning and end point in 500 milliseconds. Let's say I want the animation value, then I can just print here animation dot value dot to string, let's say. And if I'll just restart this, then you can see all the values from 0 to 0.0 to 1.0. And sometimes it can cross this limit when you are using fling or something like that, but it does not happens usually, but it can happen, okay, in some scenarios. But initially it's like this only, that you will have some values from 0.0 to 1.0. Okay, and then animation dot completed. So this is how you can get the status and everything. Now let's play with some UI stuff so that we can understand what's happening. Okay, so in the center, let me have a container, okay, as a child. So container, it can have a height and the, what you can say, width. Okay, so rather than 0.0 or 1.0, let's give it some numbers. Let's say 20 to 100. Okay, so this is how you can understand how tween works. And in the child, in the height of this container, let's give it the animation dot value, which will be ranging from 20 to 100, and width also would be ranging from 20 to 100. And the child would be a Flutter logo, so you get the Flutter logo with the framework itself. Now let's do a hot restart. Let me just open this as well. So hot restart, and you will see the values 20 to 100, and as you can see the animation as well. Let me just do the hot restart again and see the animation in action. Okay, this was not one of the best animations, but yeah, it kind of works. Okay, and there was some slight delay of something, I don't know, but so as you can see, the range is from 20 to 100, and it works pretty well, right? And now every time it actually goes through these new values, it rebuilds this whole UI, which is kind of not always you want, but this is the thing right now, right? So as you, if you will see it again and again, you will see this kind of animation, which is not the best, but it kind of works. Okay, now let's say do we have a color property or something here? I don't know. Yes, we have the color property, but this is, let me try the color here if it works. What I want to show you is something like this. Oh, so this container has this color, Okay, and let's say it should be not like this. Okay, let's say I want to change this double to let's say a color. Okay, now rather than this, it will accept a color. So what I can do, I can use a color tween. Okay, so I can give it a beginning color, which can be, let's say, colors dot white, and end color, which can be, let's say, colors dot black 87, maybe anything. Okay, and now rather than this, oh, we cannot use these values now, so let's give it a fixed value of 100 and 100, and here we can just give it an animation dot value. Okay, to see that this tween can also take color. So now if I'll just perform a hot restart, let's see what happens. Oh, saw it. So there was like color changing. As you can see the values, there are some color values in so let me just do a hot restart again, and you'll see the value of the background of the container. It changed very quickly, so we can change the time from 500 millisecond to 1500 milliseconds. Let's just test it so that you can see the change in color from white to black. Oh, this is how it works. It kind of looks cool, right? So this is how you can use animation, and you also saw it with the size, right? And what else we can do? We can use some other inbuilt widgets. Okay, we can specify this animation using animated widget. We can remove this process of adding a listener and calling this set state again and again using animated builder, for which I have already created a video. If you want to check it out, I'll provide the link in the description, how to use animated builder. But what you can do, you can manage the animated part like this, that you can have another widget, let's say class animated logo, which extends animated widget, let's say. Okay, and now it will ask me to override some methods, maybe one method, which is the build one. And in the animated logo, this I can specify a key and an animation, maybe animation, right? And in the super part, okay, I can specify the key as well. In the listenable part, I can, oh, 1 second, what happened? Okay, so key as key, and listenable as animation, I guess. It should work. Why it's not working? Oh, am I missing something here? Let me just try something else. Maybe I should try something else. Okay, so this feels good to me. This supers feels good to, oh, I have used this. I should not use this. Is it fine now? Yes. So this is how you can use the spelling should be better. uh, okay, so this is animated logo, which is another class which extends this animated widget. If you will go inside this, then you can see that it is again a stateful widget, which will change everything, state and all that stuff. Okay, don't have to worry about it anymore. And now what you can do, you can specify your animation here rather than using it there. So it kind of works pretty well. Okay, so let's say how I should tell you this. So let's say you want to specify, rather than here in the center and container and all the stuff, you can just use let's say this. Okay, this, and here we can use the animated logo. Okay, and we can provide the animation which we have already of the colors, right? And here we don't have to use this now, so let's delete this part. Okay, it's fine. And here what we can do, we can use the container again, let's say with a height of 100 and a width of 100 as well, and a color. This time we can again use our animation. How can we get the animation now? Because we are getting this animation in the form of like a that animation. Okay, so how we will use it, right? So we need to access this animation using, let's say, animation equal to listenable. So we have access to this listenable, which is gonna change. So now we can use this animation, I guess, dot. Okay, so now when I have to specify the value of this particular animation, I have to either give it here, so it can be something like this. Okay, so that it can actually understand what I am trying to ask here. And now if I will just do a hot restart, and you can see, can you see that color? And let me just specify the Flutter logo as well so that it looks cool. So the purpose here, okay, let me just do a hot start again. So the purpose here is that you can see that I am not using the set state or animation dot add listener, and it kind of works pretty well now, right? Let's say I want to perform many animation, not just a single one, then also I can do some stuff. Okay, let's say I want to perform some animation with the size. Okay, so what I can do directly here, I can have something like let's say size animation. Okay, how I will use it, let's say I have another tween. Okay, this time it takes a double. Okay, and now I can specify a begin and end value. So let's say the size would be, let's say from 50 to 100. So 50, and end value could be 100. Okay, now how I can use it, I can just go here and I can say size anim dot evaluate, and I can pass the animation here. Okay, uh, and right now I cannot pass it this animation because this is not taking an any double value, but let me try if I can just size anim. Okay, let me just also give it this so that it can understand, right? And now if I try to evaluate it, so I have to provide an animation with a double. Okay, now if I want an animation in a double because it is accepting a single animation, then what I can do, with the color I cannot perform two animation of the same kind because color is another property, it's not a double. So either you can provide a double animation in the form of another animation, but this animated widget works with only one kind of animation. So what you need to do, let's say we want to play with the not the color but with the size and the opacity. So what we can do in that scenario, we can use here tween. Okay, double, and we can use something like 0.0 to 1.0. Okay, and we will change it to double as well. So what I am now doing, rather than changing the color, let me just remove the color. We will change, let me just use an opacity here. Okay, wrap it with a new widget, let's say opacity. So to um, to actually show you the use case of animated widget, it can have one kind of animation. I mean, it can either, that can be in double or a color, but you can perform multiple animations. Let's say now here in the opacity we can use the same animation which we are getting from here. Okay, so we can say animation dot value. Okay, it's still color, so I'll change it to double now. And this is my size animation, so I can provide the size like this. Okay, so if I'll do the hot restart now, then you will see the opacity and the size as well. So what we are doing here, we are performing two kind of animations. One is the opacity one and one is the size, but we are using a single animation, right? And this is how we can do that, right? We can make something like this and then we can perform. Okay, there can be a lot of animation which you can do. So let me just tell you more about it. So what we can do, we can actually let's give it a height of 100 only, and let's wrap it with a transform or something. So we can use something like a transform dot rotate. Okay, and we can provide an angle. Okay, so what you can do in the angle scenario, you can specify an angle from 0 to um, what can be an angle, 30, whatever. So you can specify an angle here, and basically you can provide a value here. So or you can use the size anim as well, right? 50 to 100 degree, or maybe 30 to 180 degree, right? And let's leave it like that. And now we can use here the size anim dot evaluate animation. And now if I'll just perform this, then you will see that there is this animation, this rotation animation, right? Or we can use scale to, let's give it value something from 50 to maybe 580. Okay, and rather than, it will take a scale. And now if I'll just show you this animation, you will be amazed to see what kind of effect you get. Oh, you don't get anything. Why? Okay, let's see what actually happened. So this scale should take this value, and let's make it 500 maybe. Oh, I guess this opacity is the problem, but let's try it again. And it's not scaling because we are already giving it height and width, I guess. So that's the problem. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I guess let's replace this Flutter logo to this container, so that I guess it should work because it's mapping with the height and width of the container. So that's the problem. Now let's try it. Not working. Let's remove the opacity as well, just to check that whether this is working or not. Now let's restart the app. Hot restart. Oh, you saw it, right? But it was so fast. So one thing we can do is, let's start from 20 and let's perform a hot restart again. And then, oh, you saw it, right? It's still not the best one, but let's try it again. And oh, it's much better. And let's give it the time to, let's say, 30,500 milliseconds. And now let's perform some animations. Oh, this is looking good. So this kind of animation you can perform, can scale it, rotate it, transform it, whatever you want to do. You can use animated widget, which I have not explained. You can use animated builder in case if you want to perform some widgets in a widget tree. Then you can use animated builder. Then also don't have to specify the animation listener or something like that. Or what you can do, let's say this is some scenario, but you want to perform this animation again and again, then you can also use this status listener. So what you will do here, so if you'll check if status is equal to animation status, okay, dot completed, if it is completed, then what you want to do is, okay, one second guys, what's happening today? uh, okay, let me just, okay, I missed this. Okay, what we are missing, I don't know. Let me just fix it. One more second. Right, this is fine. And let me just go to the next line. If, oh, it's not returning anything. That's the problem, right? So if status is equal to animation status dot completed, then what we can do, we can say animation controller dot reverse. Okay, and else if we can also use something like if animation if status is equal to animation status dot dismissed, then we can just say animation controller dot forward. And now if I'll just perform a hot restart again, then you can see it should come back. Yes, and it kind of feels good, right? So this is a process which will keep itself repeating, and this is how you can use animation. I know that it was a lengthy video, but I guess you were able to understand the purpose of animation, how to use them, and this is the just the basic stuff, right? And you can use multiple animations with one particular widget or something, but the idea was to give you the basic of animation. I hope I was able to make you understand how it works, how what is tween animation and all those things. And one thing I missed is the curved animation, so I don't want to just miss it. So let me just cover that as well in a very quick time. So rather than this, we can use something called curved. Okay, curved animation, size anim. And rather than this, we can use something called curved animation, which takes a parent. How it's kind of very bad. So what we can do here, here I can just use, rather than this tween animation, I'll just call it a curved animation. Okay, to make it much simpler. In the parent section, I can provide the animation controller, and in the curve you can also perform any kind of curve. So there are a lot of curves: bounce in, bounce out, ease in, ease out. So let's try it, bounce out. Okay, and now if I'll just perform the hot restart, right now nothing will happen because we are using size anim dot evaluate. Now rather than that, let's try to use our normal animation. Okay, dot value, and then you will see a change. Let me just hot restart it again. Oh, I guess it's visible, right? There is some curve effect. Let me just change the value of animation. So initially it will take value from 0.0 to 1.1, and so what we can do, we can multiply it by 100, let's say, and then we can try it. Okay, it has still the bounce effect, if you can see. So it will be something like this, and there is a bounce effect. Did you see it? Let me just reduce the size a little bit, let's say 50, and then if I'll do a hot restart, then you can see there is a bounce effect, right? And one more thing I forgot to mention is that whenever you are use animations, then it's very important to actually dispose them to so that there are not any memory leaks or something. So what you can do in the dispose method, you can before this super dot dispose, you can use your animation controller dot dispose to dispose the animation, so that there should not be any kind of memory leaks and you are not using the resources when your work has been done with the animation. So you should keep that in mind. So these are some kind of animation which you can play with, and you can do a lot of stuff. I know understanding basic is kind of tough. This is transform.scale, you don't have to use it. Okay, you can use anything else, you can use container height and width, but the purpose was to explain you what all these terms are, and I hope I was able to make you understand. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, then press the like button, press the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. Also the bell icon to get notification about my channel. So thank you so much guys, bye bye, take care and keep fluttering.